Hi everyone! Today I'm going to take you along as I prep a bunch of different snacks. These are snacks that are great to have on hand. These work so brilliantly, you can pack them as little lunchbox treats. They're great for after school snacks or just a nibble to have at around tea time. These are some of my favorite recipes and I hope you enjoy them too. The first recipe I'm sharing with you today are these amazing chocolate hazelnut bliss balls. These are so easy to put together and require just a handful of ingredients. You're going to need about 10 Majdool dates, and you're going to start off by making sure that you take off the seed as well as that little stalk portion right at the top of the date. Discard those. I just tear the dates up into a couple of smaller pieces and pop them in my food processor. Next, you're going to need a quarter cup of hazelnuts. Add them to the food processor. Next, I'm going to add in a quarter cup of cacao powder. Now for this next bit, I'm going to put in a little bit of maple syrup. I'm using about 1/8 of a cup of maple syrup here. I would recommend just going by taste. Go ahead and add as much or as little as you'd like. I'm going to add in a pinch of salt and then just pop the lid on, and you're going to blitz all of these ingredients in your food processor for a few minutes until they start coming together to form a little bit of a dough. It's going to be a very coarse blend, and that's exactly what we're looking for. I don't want it to get too runny, but at the same time I want to make sure that all the larger chunks or the larger ingredients are breaking down into smaller pieces. Eventually, you're going to be left with a dough ball that looks like this. Everything's still fairly chunky in there, but you can just about see things come together. Now, at this point, you'll get a good understanding of whether you need a little more moisture in this mix or not. The dough I have in here is a little on the sticky side, but it can do with a little bit of moisture. So I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of water and just get everything going. We're going to give everything a quick blitz again, just to help that water break things down a little further. And what you're going to end up with is a paste that is still on the chunky side, like you can see here, but at the same time, it's got a little more give. It is slightly moister than it previously was. Now this is perfect because we've still got to add one last ingredient into the mix. I'm going to add in some Wheat Bix to the mix. You're going to need about 4 of these Wheat Bix biscuits. And I'm just going to roughly break them into chunks and add them in. This is going to give those bliss balls a little bit of crunch. I've just got a few more crumbs in there, which I'm just going to add all into the mix. No point in keeping those few crumbs back. Now this Wheat Bix is what's going to add a beautiful crunch to these bliss balls and make them extra yummy. Give everything a couple of quick pulses. You're doing this so that those Wheat Bix just break down into smaller pieces or chunky crumbs. That's the kind of consistency you're going for. You don't want them to break down completely into a powder. Otherwise, they won't add that kind of texture. After a few pulses, I can still see there's a few large chunks in here. So I'm going to give this a few more pulses to break it down just a tiny bit more. And when it's all done, you're going to end up with a fairly crumbly paste, but this will hold its shape when pinched together, just like you can see here. If the mix that you have is too crumbly at this point, go and add in another spoonful of water and give everything a quick blitz once again. This will help moisten that dough or the mix and help you to form those bliss balls. Otherwise, your mix is now ready. We're just going to portion them up into little balls now. And just like that, you have a yummy batch of these chocolate hazelnut bliss balls ready to go for the week ahead. I store these in an airtight container in the refrigerator and just pick 1 or 2 pieces as needed. You can add these to lunch boxes or even have them as a little bit of a treat in place of dessert. They're that tasty. The next snack idea I'm going to show you today is a savory one. I'm going to use some puffed rice and make a little bit of a savory mix or a chivda. This is one of the simplest forms of the recipe. I have a brilliant fully loaded version that I will share with you soon, but this is a great starting point, especially if you've never made this before. I'm going to make a slightly smaller batch of this today, but feel free to scale up as needed. I'm using 2 cups of this puffed rice. In a large pan, I'm just going to dry roast this till the puffed rice, also known as murmura or kurmura, depending on which part of India you are in. We're just going to toast this up just till everything gets nice and crispy again. I've got the heat on medium at this point. You don't want this to change color. You just want to get the puffed rice nice and crispy. Make sure that you're stirring through frequently to avoid these from burning and to let everything heat up and crisp up uniformly. You can tell these are nice and crispy by pressing a grain between your fingers. It'll just crumble, and that's when you know it's done. Once it has crisped up well, you're going to take this off the heat and decant it into a cool bowl to stop that from cooking through any further and to help this cool down a little. In the same pan, we're going to put together our spices and seasonings. I'm going to start off by adding about a spoonful of neutral cooking oil. I'm using peanut oil today. To this, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of raw peanuts with the skin on. If you don't have access to this, you can use roasted peanuts as well. If you're using roasted peanuts, just add them into the mix when you're adding the puffed rice. Since these peanuts are raw, we're going to cook them on a medium heat. Stir every once in a while to make sure they're not burning. Make sure the heat is not too high at this stage, because otherwise you'll just have a really dark colored skin, but the nut in itself won't cook through. This process usually takes a couple of minutes. Once the peanuts are almost ready, you're going to add in a few curry leaves. I'm just using about 5 to 6 curry leaves, and make sure those curry leaves are really dry. Otherwise, that oil is going to splash. Now, this next stage is optional. I've just added a few large pieces of some fresh chili. At this point, you're going to let everything cook through till the chilies and the curry leaves have fried up well and they've gone nice and crisp. We're now going to add our seasoning. I'm adding a little bit of turmeric powder, just a couple of pinches or so. And what this will do is it'll add a beautiful color and a subtle flavor to your chivda. At this point, I also add in some salt. You can add salt to taste here, and you're going to stir everything through. The turmeric takes a few seconds to cook through and get that raw flavor off. Next, I'm going to add in our crispy puffed rice and stir everything through to make sure that turmeric coats all of the puffed rice really well. Once you've mixed everything thoroughly, you can add a little bit of chili powder just for a little heat at this stage. This part's optional, so if you don't like the heat, leave the chili powder out. And I'm going to bump up the flavor profile of this chivda by adding a tiny bit of chaat masala. I've just sprinkled on a little bit of chaat masala just to taste. Add a little, taste and see how you're going, and you can add a little more just to suit your liking. Once everything's mixed through, take the pan off the heat and you're going to just continue tossing this a little bit to make sure that the chili and that chaat masala have mixed through well. Don't keep the mix on the heat after adding the chili powder because the chili powder tends to burn. Immediately take it from that hot pan and turn it out into a large bowl to cool down. Once your chivda has cooled down completely, you can now set it aside in an airtight container or a little jar, or you can serve it up immediately. It is very subtly spiced, but it's got beautiful flavor and it's really very Moorish. And for our last recipe today, we're making some oatmeal and raisin cookies. Now this recipe is another simple recipe but results in beautiful cookies. I'm going to start off with about 60 grams of butter at room temperature. Today I'm using Nuttelex. You can use any other plant-based version of your choice. And I'm going to add in some sugar. Here I have 30 grams of white sugar and 50 grams of light brown sugar. If your white sugar is on the coarse or the chunky side, you might want to blitz it to a finer powder before you add it into the mix. I'm using my KitchenAid blender today. You can also use a hand blender if you've got one, or simply cream everything together using a large bowl with a wooden spoon. Into the bowl, I'm going to add in about 30 grams of applesauce, and you're going to mix everything together till it becomes nice and light and creamy. About halfway through the process, don't forget to stop the mixing and scrape down the edges, the sides and the bottom of the bowl just to make sure that everything is mixing through thoroughly. And you're going to continue whisking this. Once you've got a nice light and creamy mix, we're ready to add our flavorings. I'm going to add in about half a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. Now this next step is optional. If the butter that you're using is unsalted or low on salt, add a couple of pinches of salt over here. I somehow managed to lose some of that footage of me adding the salt, but I like to add a couple of pinches of salt to the mix. Next, I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of baking soda and about half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon or cinnamon powder, and simply mix everything together to incorporate those flavors well. From this point on, I just like to mix the rest of the ingredients in by hand. I feel that it gives the cookies a much better crumb and texture. I'm going to add in about 1/3 cup of raisins. This might be a little too much for some. If you don't want to add as many raisins, you can definitely reduce the quantity. That's completely up to you. I'm going to add in 100 grams of all-purpose flour. And very lightly and very gently, we're just going to use the cut and fold method and mix everything through. At this point, it might look like that mix in the bowl is too dry, but that's fine. I promise you it's going to come together. I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of rolled oats and gently fold that through the mix. As you keep mixing this gently, you'll see that cookie dough forming. It looks a little unlikely at this point, but it does eventually form a beautiful mix. And like I promised, what you've got is still a fairly crumbly mix, but that's exactly what we're looking for today. You can see that this mix, when pinched together, holds its shape beautifully. It's still slightly crumbly, but that's fine. I use a tablespoon to measure out my portions. You can use a cookie scoop if you've got one. All you're going to do is bring a portion of that dough together and flatten it. Now these cookies don't spread and don't increase in size very much either. So shape them accordingly. I just roll them into little balls and then flatten them out between the palms of my hands and place them on a lined baking tray. Now depending on the size, you'll get about 12 to 15 cookies from this mix. This goes into a preheated oven to bake at 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 12 minutes. And when they're done baking, this is what they're going to look like, and your house is going to smell amazing. I let these cool for a little while on the cookie tray itself. And when they've cooled down completely, I'm going to flip one over and show you. You can see they've cooked through. They've got a few rough edges, but that's what adds some amazing texture to the cookies. I think that these are absolutely fantastic, and these have got to be one of my favorite cookie recipes. Once they've completely cooled down, you can go ahead and store them in your cookie jar or in an airtight container, and you've got a wonderful batch of cookies ready for the week ahead. So guys, I hope today's video gave you a few ideas and inspired you to whip up a few snacks of your own as well. What are your favorite go-to snacks? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye.